I say, welcome everybody. Welcome. It is Friday. It is the beginning of the weekend, at least for most of us. I know some of you probably have jobs that do not track neatly along those weekend lines. But anyway, regardless, I hope you're enjoying your Friday. Today, for our live stream, we're going to be ranking our episodes. I do this not just to be, kind of weirdly masturbatory, although it is fun. It's fun to go, pat ourselves on the back every once in a while. But I do this partly because I noticed something. I was keeping track of our podcast recently, or looking on the app that I use to listen, and the Rings of Power Season 1 review. I don't know if you're going to be able to see this, but you'll see, okay, where is it? Episode number 373 is, in fact, the 400th episode on our list. There are, quite a few unnumbered ones that happened when it would have been like around the 350 mark, 300 to 350. There were a lot of unmarked episodes or unnumbered episodes. Turns out about 27 of them. So, oh, dude. Oh, dang it. My brother just sent me a picture of the Ace Books. Oh, man. It looks like it's a museum exhibit. The Ace Books. Oh, Fellowship of the Ring. Come on, focus. Focus. You can do it. Fellowship of the Ring, Ace Books, the bootleg version of that. So I need to get a hold of that. Sorry, I get distracted sometimes. Today, we're going to be ranking our episodes because I was like, you know what? We've done 400 of these things, 401 now. And so I thought it would be kind of fun to look back. I want to get your input as well. So make sure that you're in the chat. If you're here, if you're able to participate. I know you can't always. Maybe you're at work or something like that. But if you're able to participate, let me know what your nominations would be for best episodes we've ever done. Partly because I need your help, because there's going to be a serious bias toward the episodes I was on, not because of my own kind of self-regard. Although there is some of that. No, but because there were episodes that I was not a part of. I think I do want to turn that up just a little more. Is that better? Do you guys feel like you can maybe hear me a little better now? So, when it comes to Dresden Files or The Expanse, others that I'm not thinking of off the top of my head, the Blue Team did, there are a lot of episodes that I wasn't a part of, and so... oftentimes I would go and I would listen to the first little while of those episodes, but I wouldn't listen through the whole thing because I'm like, hey, I don't know what they're talking about. So I just want to make sure the intro and the outro worked okay, so I'd check the beginning, check the end, but the episodes would go largely unlistened to, as many of you do. It's how I listen to our podcast too. Anyway, so if there are any of those episodes, let me know if those are your favorites. But anyway, so how are we going to do it? We're going to go really lo-fi today, okay? And here's what I mean. I've got a spreadsheet. I'm not normally a spreadsheet guy, but today I'm going to do a spreadsheet. In fact, we'll blow that up quite a bit. I think we'll go to perfect, 200%. So I want to get maybe our top 10, top 20. Possibly, but I think we'll go through the list, not all 400 necessarily. Well, I guess, yes, all 400, but we'll skim through a lot of it and kind of pull out some of the standouts. And I'll give some memories on why they're standouts for me, and hope that you'll do the same. Anyway, so that is the plan. So now the question is, how do we go ahead and do this? And here's the best I came up with. We can't go. So this is the Podbean backend. This is the service that we distribute our podcast on. Here, let me give you a little more room to see that. I'll get rid of that little bar. There, that should be a little better. Anyway, so yeah, this shows like the date it was published and how many downloads it got. I guess you guys don't need to see that. I mean, it's there if you care. There's this there, but going through this, I can't like expand this page, and so here I'd have to go through the entire thing. Oh my gosh, every single page. So I'm gonna go with the Apple Podcast version because I can make it all appear on one page, all the way down to episode 1, including. I love this, by the way. Should we start with a 1-star review? Can you guys see that? Hopefully that's. Okay, now we're gonna. Yeah, there we go. I want that 1-star review. Oh no. Okay, I have to. Immature man children. This pod needs women. It makes me wonder which episode they listened to. That was less than a month ago, so hopefully the interviews would be better without the interviewers. Well, you're welcome. You're welcome for the free content. And I love that name tag reads Conan fan. Does that mean you love Conan the Barbarian? I don't. There's some potential irony going on here that I really enjoy. Okay, so with that in mind, okay, we do want it to be big enough to read. How about that? Can we go a little bigger? There we go. Immature man children. All right, we're gonna have to. Yeah, we'll have to make that do. What about this? No, that's too small. I wish. So I use this. I use this service called StreamYard to do these live streams, and it's fine. But I wish I could and I know you can do this with OBS. It's just that's a little bit more involved, and I haven't taken the time to set it up yet. Anyway, I wish I could kind of overlay myself over the screen or over that kind of like blank spot. But oh well, here we go. Okay, so. Anyway, all right, let's start. We could do the Welcome to the Legendarium, but honestly, that is not one of my favorites. I feel like if I'm going to pick one of the original Lord of the Rings episodes, because there's like 17 of them, I don't want to pick more than one. These are fun, and I like them to a certain extent, but they are definitely old. But I think maybe my favorite one. Oh gosh, maybe my favorite one was the Galadriel one. Craig loves Kate Blanchett. That's the one. I don't know. What do we think? Does that one? Oh, this is gonna be a whole thing, isn't it? I'm not gonna be able to. Oh, how can I not? Oh, I was really hoping I'd be able to copy link address. No, I just want to copy and paste. Oh man. All right. Well, we'll figure out something else. Let's see. Johnny says Crossroads of Twilight Part 1. I still remember cracking up while I was running and listening to the episode. Nice. Okay, good. The trivia 100th episode has got to be in the top 20. Oh wow, interesting. Okay. I barely even remember that one. After 400, you start to lose your memory. Okay, so how am I going to do this, you guys? Let's see. Does anybody have any suggestions? Am I just going to have to type this out? I'm going to go with... Okay. Okay, so we'll just say number 8, Lord of the Rings. 7, Craig loves Kate Blanchett. Okay. All right, let's see if we can work our way up to what you guys are talking about with these two. Let's go up to another one. Let's see. I want to get to this. Was it this one? I wish we had done better at labeling, or not labeling, but doing descriptions for these episodes back in the old days. But the Star Wars specials, I'm going to go ahead and say number 15 because I think Todd was with us for part 1, but then Todd and Ken were with us for part 2. So I'm going to say, and so right now these are in no particular order. But what did I just say? Number 15. Part 2. Okay. Because I these are in no particular order. Once we've got about 10 or 20 of them, we'll start assigning them ranks. But that one goes on my list simply because that's when we got Todd and Ken to come on the show. We had some guests on and off through the Lord of the Rings episodes, but when Todd and Ken came on, that was when the real kind of personality of the show started to take shape, as well as the shape of the episodes. Spotify lets you copy. That's true. Let's see if I can pull that up on Spotify. I actually don't really use Spotify for podcasts. I don't know if that's bad of me, wrong of me, but it's one of those, like, I'm sure it's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. I just, I've used, what is it, Pocket Casts, I think, for so long that that's what I want to use now. Oh, interesting. Oh, you guys, check it out. I didn't actually know this, so thank you for telling me to do Spotify, because now let me see if I can. Okay, hang on just a sec. How do I? Oh, well, whatever. Okay, so let's put Spotify over on that screen. So we can take up, there we go. Okay, yep, it'll take up the whole screen. The one problem with Spotify, I won't be able to zoom in. So we'll see if it works. But it may be harder for you guys to see. So let me try that. Share screen one. I'm gonna share that. Okay. So the problem is it's just a little smaller than I would like for this live stream. Maybe I'm crazy, but and now you guys get to see what I listen to, like the Beatles and Evanescence and Aurora. Anyway, so we can hide that. It's a little smaller than I'd like, but I think we can still read the titles. Let me know if it gets too small. Just tell me. What I want to do is get rid of this bar at the bottom, so you don't have to worry about that. Which one is it? Show task view. I don't care about the Cortana button. We can get rid of that at least. How do I? Oh, taskbar. You know what? We'll worry about that later. I'm sure there's a way to just magnify your screen. Period. But we'll worry about that later. Okay. Star Wars news. Oh yeah. Somebody said something. Not sure which episode it was, but the Watt episode where Vagina School, the Vagina Island. It was the Vagina Island School of Witchcraft and definitely not wizardry. I believe that was the second episode, because we did like 2 episodes per book, more or less. Can I? Nope, that's not going to work. Full screen. Hey, there we go. Oh, nope. That's the music. I don't want the music. I want the... Okay. Okay. I that is my single proudest contribution to the fantasy sci-fi community, is that phrase. Sadly, not enough people in my mind use it, but oh well. Okay. Let's keep me down there. Okay. Oh yeah. Oh, the truth definitely has to be on the list. I think that's a good one. Okay. I quote that regularly when talking to people about what. Nice. I remember the first time I met Drew McCaffrey from Inking Out Loud. It was at Jordan Con, and I think he quoted that line, or that coined term, I guess, when he was on a panel. I had shown up. It was just me and Ken. I think this was 2019. We showed up to Jordan Con, and they'd already done the opening ceremonies. We got there like an hour or two too late to go to the opening ceremonies. So we put our bags down, we got our badges, and we're like, okay, I guess we'll go to a panel. And I kind of picked a Wheel of Time panel at random, and Drew McCaffrey was on the stage, such as it was, and it was literally like 60 seconds after I walked in and sat down that he said something about oh yeah, Craig from the Legendarium, he calls it this, the Vagina Island School. And then I think he also referenced the way that we talked about in the Wheel of Time. I'm not going to spoil anything, don't worry, but there's a magical cleansing that happens where a giant, shall we call it a sheath, appears in the sky, and then they have to like run the other magic through the magic, and it's so sexual, and so he was kind of cracking up about that. Anyway, so it was like this thing immediately happened. I've never heard us talked about in any other context or at any other time, but I heard it that time, and so I went up after the panel. I was like, "Hey, I'm Craig from the Legendarium," and he's like, "Oh my gosh!" So we bonded immediately. That was a fun moment. Let's see. What did I do? Okay. Anyway. Okay. Let's keep going. I'm worried about what I did. What Drew might be calling me out on. Okay. She loves spin-off Star Wars news. Now, the Fantasy Con stuff was interesting. Let's get to... okay, one of these two... So there's Fairy Tales, the darker the better. Again, tell me, please, somebody, if it's too small, just let me know. Oh, no, I need to figure out what this one is. Remind me, when we get to the 330s, remind me. Fairy Tales, the darker the better. Oh, nope, I can't copy and paste. Who said I could copy and paste? Oh, see, now we've screwed it all up. I got to go all the way back down to the beginning. It was Matt Woolley, a local guy. He does appearances on local news stations and whatnot, but he's a psychologist at the University of Utah. And I got him to come on the show, and he was amazing. I think it was back down here somewhere. So... if I can't copy and paste, I'm going to go back to the old way of doing it so that you guys can actually see what I'm looking at. The 3 levels episode. The 3 levels episode. We'll talk about that when we get there. That's one of my... It's an episode I wish I could redo, honestly. Maybe I will one day, and maybe try to do it a little better. But that was a frustrating one. Okay. Let's pull this up. Oh. There we go. Okay. I want to do... The question is, do we do Fairy Tales, the darker the better, or comic books and kids literacy? I think I like the Fairy Tales one just a little bit better. But they were both really good. Okay, so let me bring that back up. Share screen. Okay, that should let me do it. Okay, so number 26, Fairy Tales. I really like that one quite a bit. Okay, let's keep scrolling up. Hey, you guys are distracting me. Whether I said the Vagina Island thing or somebody else. Oh, yeah. Yeah. What I couldn't remember is if you mentioned both things. I'm pretty sure you mentioned both of those things, but I couldn't remember for sure. Comic-Con review. Yeah, I'm not going to put any of the FantasyCon or Comic-Con. FantasyCon it would have been 2014. Yeah, FantasyCon in 2014 was one of my favorite experiences of this entire podcast, and it was like the first summer that we were running. But it's gone now. It only happened once, and Comic-Con kind of killed it. And I've kind of soured on Comic-Con a bit. I believe it was Well of Ascension Part 2, number 34. Oh, not that one. This one. Number 34, Well of Ascension Part 2. Because that was the Let's Get to the Punchin' episode. If I recall correctly, when Ken uttered the phrase that would live on in infamy forever on this podcast. So that one lives on in my mind. Uh, this was fun, Women of the Lord of the Rings, but I think we did it better later. Um, I really enjoyed my 3-minute reviews, but they are extremely short episodes, and so they're not going to be to everyone's taste. But I quite enjoyed writing a really quick, to the point 3-minute script, and then just delivering those. I think I did a couple of these. There's Interstellar, and I want to say I did one more. Um, yeah. Anyway. Number 45. Enter the Dungeons and Dragons. Oops, and Dragons. That was the one where Ryan and I played D&D for the very first time. Todd kind of DM'd us through that. Ken played with us. And it was at the now closed for a long time. My gosh, we've been podcasting for a long time, but Hajamaji Games in the adjacent town. They hosted us, and it was a ton of fun. That one was it was the kind of episode where it it was actually a fairly short episode. Yeah, 34 minutes compared to 45 to an hour that we were usually doing. I guess that was that was labeled short, but this was a pretty short episode. But this is one of the more editing heavy episodes I've ever had to do, because we had hours and hours of audio, and I had to go through and pull out the best bits and try to craft a narrative around our experience, and then cut in at the right moment, and then do the commentary with Ryan. And anyway, so it was intense, but it's a lot of fun. I think that's a really fun episode. Okay, we can. Oh, that's right. I did Jupiter Ascending. My gosh, that movie. Whew. Let's see. Kingsman. Oh, that's right. I did Kingsman. I didn't. Man, I really. I think this actually kind of says it. It was good until it was bad. Very, very bad. And I feel that way about all the Kingsman episodes or Kingsman movies. They're good in a way. Like, they're well written. They're well acted. But like the underlying concept behind them, and just the something about them really, really irks me a lot. This one, I'm going to put this one on here, number 56. And I'll tell you why. Number 56 goes on there. This is one of my personal favorites, not necessarily because of the episode itself, although I do remember it being a good episode. But the reason being, one of the guests on that episode was a guest because I was working in a bank at the time, and I very inappropriately asked one of my customers to come on the podcast. You're like, this is not what you're supposed to do as a bank employee. But she was wearing like Batman tights, and had like a graphic tee of something nerdy. I can't remember exactly what it was. And I was like, I think you and I probably have a lot in common. And so she came on to talk about horror movies, which she loves. And she ended up helping me to get a job that got me out of the bank and into marketing. I became a copywriter, and that job in turn equipped me to be able to do exactly what we're doing right now. Eventually, I started running a YouTube channel there and learned more about production, media production and whatnot. And anyway, so this one goes on the list. I don't know if it will make a top 10 or a top 20, but it at least merits a mention in my mind, because it like, this episode changed my life in a way. So that's something to consider. Okay. So let's see what else we got. And some of these, like Sphere is one of my all-time favorite books. But I don't know that there was enough, like, I don't know that is enough to merit, a best episode status. We're going to have to pick this up if I'm going to make it through 400 episodes, aren't we? Okay. Drew, I'm sure you want me to include Ready Player One, your favorite. Number 64, Ainu Lindale. And I know I'm not doing diacritic marks and all that stuff. So just forgive me for that. This was the very first Silmarillion episode we ever did. We kind of bounced around for a while until we finally read the Silmarillion in its entirety this year. But this was the first one we did. I had Kip Rasmussen on, and I just really, really enjoyed that discussion. Kip, he has a deep love and a deep knowledge of the Silmarillion. So he and I were really simpatico on that. And then you bring Ryan into the mix, a first-time reader, and it was one of those episodes where it went for however long it went for, an hour and 6 minutes. But I felt like I could have gone for 2 or 3 hours just talking about the first chapter with Kip Rasmussen. So that one goes on my list. I don't think any of the other initial Silmarillions will. The Belgariads were fun, but I don't know if they would make my list for favorite episodes. Let's see. We'll skip that. Oh, Matt Woolley came on a third time. Oh my gosh. Oh, that's so cool. I forgot about that. I don't think I'm going to put this on the list, but it is a standout for me. In Absence of Fear with Celeste Chaney is the only time in the history of the podcast that we've had an episode devoted entirely to talking about a book with the book's author. It's just not something, not something that we really do. And this episode is part of why. In fact, maybe I should put it on. 77 In Absence of Fear. Fear. The reason why is because I thought the episode went just fine. I thought we had a good discussion. But what I ran into was the idea that we couldn't really open up to either each other or to Celeste during the episode about okay, now let's talk about what didn't work in your book. That, it gets really awkward, right? So that's why for a long time, we just didn't have authors on the show at all. It wasn't until later that I kind of came across the idea. I didn't come across it. I came up with the idea. I've told the story before about the author's shelf, where it was a way for us to connect with authors, to kind of build that network and grow the show and have some fun meeting authors that we enjoyed and that you enjoy, but in a way where we didn't have to talk about their books, basically. So that kind of, this episode changed, I guess it solidified some things about the show for me. Stones of Shannara, no. I did like the Jessica Jones episode, but I don't think it's going to make the list. Here, this is probably a better way to do this. Mistborn's Secret History. Oh wait, I think this was a fun one. You guys should go back and listen to this. We did separately recorded reviews of Civil War, and then everybody voted on who had the best review. And basically, as it does, and naturally, it turned into, well, this person had the review that matched my feeling about the show. So I can't remember who won. Doesn't matter. Okay, we better move a little further. Okay, now we're up to number 100. Somebody said, yeah, I don't think Warbreaker's going to make it. Number 100, was it a quiz show? Somebody said it was a quiz show. It sounds like it was a lot of fun. No more man bun. I have to let it down sometimes. You know how it is. Okay. Oh, somebody said something about 334. Oh, LOL, the ladies of the Legendarium. Yeah. Okay, now I know what you guys are talking about. So yeah, somebody said something about the final Oathbringer, all-time GOAT. That was a heck of an episode. But we'll get there in a moment. Okay, now we're into Way of Kings. All right, I think, was it Way of Kings? I want to see if it might have been. I think it was actually, and those are good episodes. I like those episodes, but I think it was Words of Radiance. The first Words of Radiance Yeah, this is the problem where I didn't at the beginning. Now I'm in the habit of actually writing out who is on the episode. It's easier for me to scroll through and scan who's on each episode, and it's easier for you as well. But I'm pretty sure this was the episode when Megan came on the show for the first time. Oh, I'm sorry, you guys. I made that small. Words of Radiance was when Megan came on. So I quite enjoyed that. Oh, it was episode 200. Okay, that's good to know. Okay. Second Ready Player One any day. And so, Joe, I am trying to keep this to, like, was the episode good? And obviously, the book being discussed is going to flavor that. But I liked our Ready Player One episode. I think we would do it differently now. But like I would love to have Drew on to talk about Ready Player One, just because can somebody ban that bot? I would love to have Drew on because he hates that book, and I quite enjoy that book. I don't know if I'd go so far as to say I love that book, but I quite enjoy that book. Oh gosh, all right, the bots. Hang on, everybody. I gotta. I don't know if we have any admins or what do we call them, mods in the studio right now. But if we do, then oh gosh, then go ahead and delete the bots. Okay. How do I get there? There we go. All right. I just need to get to the right page. Oh, for the love. Now I'm in. The problem is I don't want to have this big echo, so I don't usually. There we go. Hide user on this channel. There we go. Got it. Okay. Oh. All right. Now we can close that. I hope they don't come back. We'll see if they do. Okay, so what'd you say? Never heard the episode. I just have listened to it 4 times. That's a lot. I think I've listened to Ready Player One twice, maybe 3 times. I can't remember. But yeah, I like that one a lot. So yeah, you should go check it out. Where was it? Stranger Things, Warbreaker. Where was it? It was somewhere down here. So go check it out. You should listen to that episode. You'd have fun with it. Okay. We were at Words of Radiance. So that brought Megan in, and she changed the show for the better quite a bit. So there's a part of me, I think I will put Words of Radiance Part 1. So that's 105, just because Megan has had such a good impact on the show. Words of Radiance, Part 1. Okay. So we'll put that one on there as a potential. Cosmere 101. That was not a good. This is one of our worst episodes ever. Oh, sorry, you can't actually see that. Cosmere 101, one of our worst episodes ever. Just because we got so many things wrong. Like, I was actually still pretty new to the Cosmere as a concept. Like, I'd read Mistborn several times, but I didn't really know anything about it. And so Ryan was trying to position himself as the expert, but we made a bunch of mistakes, and it's just not great. Don't go back and listen to that one. 110, Eye of the World, Part 1. Okay, so I guess can be consistent with that. This one, Eye of the World Part 1, would probably win over Words of Radiance Part 1. Just because Eye of the World Part 1 is the episode that I'm always thinking of when we start a new series. I want the new podcast series, I want it to get off on the right foot. And Eye of the World Part 1, I felt like was maybe our best ever attempt at getting off on the right foot with a new book series. I thought it was a really good episode, a really interesting discussion. We all came to the table with, interesting things to say. We had factoids, and it's not like we were experts on the book, obviously, but we had things to say about it. So that one definitely goes on my list. Okay, I'm gonna kind of start going more quickly through this. Like the Emperor's Soul, the book would make my list, but I don't know that the episode does. The Thing, Shadows for Silence, Dauntless, yeah. Okay, now I gotta scoot, and unless something really jumps out, I don't think I'm gonna grab it. Harry Potter and the Birthday Podcast. There you go. Didn't somebody say Crossroads of Twilight earlier? That there was something funny about it. Yeah, Crossroads of Twilight Part 1. I remember cracking up while I was running and listening to the episodes. So there you go. I don't remember why it was so funny, but I believe you. Let's see. Do you guys have are you 59 was literally written for me. Oh, sorry. We're talking about where were you? Ready Player One. Ready Player One was literally written for you. Yeah, it absolutely was. The Cosmere 101. Yeah, we don't talk about Cosmere 101. Six of the Dusk. Retrospective. Oh, okay. Here's the 3 levels of story. I'll tell you why. I didn't love this one. So Daniel Swenson came on. He was from the Dungeon Crawlers Radio podcast. I don't remember if that is. I'm not sure if that's still going. As far as I know, it is, but I haven't looked. But something there was something about like the energy on the episode wasn't quite right between me and Kyle and Todd and Daniel. It just wasn't working the way that I wanted to, and so I felt like by the end of this episode, there wasn't actually a really clear explanation of the 3 levels. Maybe you guys disagree. I don't know, but I felt like I wasn't getting my point across with this episode very well. So it is not among my favorites, personally. Tires at Midnight, Justice League. Oh boy. No, because if I was gonna say The Last Jedi, but that would be more about the movie and not so much about the episode. I don't really remember the episode that well. Voyage of the Dawn Treader, that one of my favorite Narnia books. If it's not my absolute favorite, I'm not sure. Last Battle, Oathbringer 4. Oh, wasn't it? Oh no, it wasn't Oathbringer. Wait, was it Oathbringer? You guys were saying, was it it was the Oathbringer Part 5. Did I skip it? Yeah, this one, 172, Oathbringer number 3. What did I say? 172. Oathbringer, part 3, I guess. Yeah, whatever. Part 5, part 3, whatever. But number 172, absolutely essential listening in like Legendarium rankings, lore, all that. Okay, where else are we at? So we're gonna skip past a bunch of this stuff. Name of the Wind. Don't. Yeah. I don't. 181, Leaf by Niggle. One of my absolute favorites. I thought the discussion was great, and the book is, or story. Better to call it a story. The story is one of my all-time favorites. Okay. I remember, I don't remember exactly how good this episode is, but How to Wait for Book 3 was really important to me. What was that? 190, How to Wait for Book 3. Infinity War was fun because of the watch together. That's right. We met a few listeners for Infinity War. That was fun. That was a good night. Were you the only listener there, Josh? There were a couple other people there, but I can't remember if they were listeners or just friends. Anyway, I feel like we're getting a pretty good list. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yeah, we're going to cut it off at 20, I think. Liza Lamora. No. Oh, there it is. Craig's Everything Trivia, number 200. That was a ton of fun. Craig's Everything Trivia was excellent. Yeah, that was a ton of fun. We had kind of funny and stupid, but also legit prizes, and people were competing for prizes, and yeah, it was a lot. I also look back fondly on our Frankenstein episode. This is one of those ones like Frankenstein, and then also, what was the one that Brent Weeks did with us? Oh, we did the Odyssey, where it's so clear how ignorant we are as panelists and hosts about certain subjects. But that doesn't mean that we can't appreciate stories in our own way. And without the full benefit of like rigorous academic understanding of this or that story. But so Frankenstein, it's not like we sounded like complete idiots. I did in the Odyssey episode. But Frankenstein is definitely one of those ones where it's like, oh yeah, you guys are not like, you're not Gothic literature majors, are you? No, we're not. Let's see. Fool's Moon. Oh, should we put Assassin's Apprentice? I think I am going to put Assassin's Apprentice on there. And I'll tell you why. The reason why I would put this on there, and I know a lot of you would really disagree with that, because we kind of went after that book. We did not care for it at the time. But the reason I put this on here is because that was when it was an important episode for my development as a reader, as I've talked about in past episodes, or I guess compared to number 204, they would have been future episodes. As I've talked about, the idea of setting expectations and being open to a different story than what you were expecting, if that's necessary, it like I said, a very, very important episode for me. So, wait, what? My time sense goes out the window. Oh, is that because you were gone for a while? Let's see. Whichever Wintersard episode had you all ranting about the taint. Oh my gosh. I'm 36 years old. When I'm 90, if I get to 90, I will still giggle about the word taint in in the Wheel of Time. It's just so perfect for jokes. It's so good. And like when I listen to the audiobooks or I read through the Wheel of Time books, after a while you start to it starts to kind of wash over you. You get used to it. Yeah, the Dark One's taint or whatever. And I stop giggling about it. But then when I have to say it, when I have to talk about the Dark One's taint, like, it's hilarious. And there's just no way around that. It is funny. Let's see. It was important because it broke Kyle. Yeah, Assassin's Apprentice broke Kyle. He's never been quite the same since. It's hilarious and tragic. But yeah, that was a heck of an episode. I miss Kyle. I hope he comes back on the podcast sometime soon. Let's see. Assassin's Apprentice was a bad episode, but a good episode in that you learned a bunch from it. I don't think it was that bad an episode. I think we were very honest about where we were and how we received the book. It didn't match up to what a lot of people wanted from it. The episode, I mean. But in a way that kind of mirrors the book itself. Like, we do this, I think, partly consciously and partly unconsciously. I think we do a good job as a podcast of trying to look for the positive in things whenever it can be done, whenever it's reasonable to do so. We're not out to crap on books or authors or anything. And the Assassin's Apprentice episode was one of those instances when we were all just like, you know what, we have to let our feelings out, and we did. And a lot of people hated it, because I think before that and since, we've kind of set the expectation that, hey, we're gonna we're picking this book because people love it, so we're gonna find what there is to love, and we're gonna love it too along with you, and so people enjoy hearing us love a book that they love as well. And that's just not the way it went with Assassin's Apprentice. But it's a very honest episode, and so I'd have to go back again. With the exception of Kyle. I'm not sure. I can't remember everything that was said on the podcast, but I don't think we were cruel to the book. It was more just like laying out the reasons why we didn't like it. So in that case, why not Princess of Mars? Actually, I've never read it, but I do remember that episode. I listened to like the first 10 or 15 minutes of that episode, and it was funny to listen to that. 20ish years ago. No, you'd have to go back a lot further than that. Yeah, people have been giggling about the taint for a long, long time. Okay, so let's keep cruising through this as quick as we can. That was Assassin's Apprentice. We're over halfway, but let's see. Farmer Jaws of Ham, no. Assassin's Quest. Aha, 212, The Truth. There are too many good episodes, I guess. Okay. Our first Author's Shelf episode, where the entire concept came from. And frankly, so it's important because of that. But that episode, actually, when I re-listened to it, I haven't listened to it in a few years now, but when was that? 2019? Okay, a couple years then. I remember re-listening to it a few months later after I'd had some remove from the episode, and thinking, actually, that was a really great discussion. Like, Brandon was a fabulous guest. He had a lot of interesting things to say. I thought me and Ryan were kind of on our game with that one. And that was fun because we got to record that at Brandon's house. So that was, like, we hauled our entire podcast gear setup down there and did it at his house. So that was a lot of fun. Okay, where were we? New Spring, Dune. Yeah, I don't know about the Dune episodes. Definitely not Night Angel. Those weren't. I don't know. Do you guys have any strong feelings about the Dune episodes? Oh, that's right. Yeah, you weren't here. I did put Megan is a Delight. That's why I put Words of Radiance Part 1 on there, because that was the entrance of Megan, as far as I remember. I'm pretty sure I'm right about that. Okay. So where was I? Yeah, we're getting past this. Turin Turambar. A lot of Dresden Files. Oh, was this 2019? What? Okay, hang on. I think we're going to get there. Children of Dune. Yeah, I think it was 2019. 2019 was a really, really tough year for me. Just for whatever reason. Like, I'm not going to try to delve into my psyche now, but just psychologically, for whatever reason, 2019 was a very difficult year. But this was the year that Blue Team really picked up the slack. Honestly, the show might have died if we hadn't split the teams and had Red Team, Blue Team, because they were doing Dresden Files and Dune. And they did so many episodes, and I cannot possibly express how grateful I am that they carried the show for almost an entire year, as I recall, with all that stuff. Anyway, so yeah, but I don't know. You guys will have to tell me. Yeah, they really were. You guys will have to tell me if any of the Dune episodes or Night Angel episodes really rise to the level of one of our best, because I'm not familiar enough with them, because I'm not familiar enough with the source material to get into it. I know that Dune was when we... Oh no, I think we had Jack Butler on for one of the Silmarillion episodes. That's when Jack came on. But yeah, he came back for God Emperor. See, the Hobbit episodes. I enjoyed our Hobbit episodes, but none of them jump out in my mind as like an actual best episode candidate. But I am gonna put on. Oh, see, here's one of those unnumbered episodes. So yeah. Okay, where were we? Death of the Author. This was me and Kyle spinning the wheel ourselves. That was a good discussion, I thought. But the one I want to pull in was that was fun. Brent Weeks spins the wheel. The Odyssey. Aha. Why do video game movies always suck? This was such a fun episode. Adam Sherlock is one of the funniest guests we've ever had. He is an absolute delight. I want to get him back. Next year they're doing HBO is doing The Last of Us, and I definitely want to get Adam Sherlock back to talk about that, to see like do we finally have like a really, really good, not just competent but really good video game adaptation. I guess we'll see. Okay, where are we? The Broken Eye. I think that's book 3. I want to get to the one. 256, The Rise of Skywalker might be a candidate because this is when, like, I think Ryan and I finally, like, it started to come out in the Last Jedi episode, but Rise of Skywalker was when Ryan and I finally just, like, on Star Wars, we were just like, I hate this. And Ryan was like, no, but look at how much there is to love. And I was like, there's nothing to love. And he's, be charitable. And I'm like, be realistic. And so that was an important episode. I don't know if it was one of our best, or is it The Broken Eye? Now I need to look it up. Which one is it? The Blood Mirror. That's where it is. That's what I'm looking for. That's right. And we only did one. 261, The Blood Mirror. I'm going to put this on there. Kip, I know you're going to hate that, but 261, The Blood Mirror. And the reason I'm putting this one on here is kind of specific. This, kind of like Assassin's Apprentice and a couple of the others we've talked about. The Blood Mirror was an important episode for me in my development as a reader because, as an intellectual exercise, I always kind of, I understood the idea of, like representation matters in media. Like I get that. I was never like, I was never one of those people who was really angry about, that proposition, but it never carried that much weight with me. But then in The Blood Mirror, and you can go back and listen to it, there was the circumstances for the characters in that book mirrored like my circumstances earlier in life. So like experiences that they had were experiences that I had, and Brent freaking nailed it in that book. I don't mean just kind of like got the broad strokes right. I mean, he nailed the experience that those characters go through. And it was kind of this light bulb moment for me where it was like, oh, okay. So when people say representation matters, that's what they're talking about, and it's, I do think, I still think it can be overblown, conceptually, but overblown doesn't mean unimportant, or like can be overblown doesn't mean that this isn't an important concept. Does that make sense? So that was an important one for me because it was definitely a light bulb moment. It was an episode, not the book, so I'm fine with it. Nice. Let's see. Has anyone figured out pausing time yet so I can have more time to catch up? Yeah, right. Oh man, yeah, okay. Sorry, I haven't looked over in a while. Arcane is excellent. I have been meaning to watch that. I'm with Josh. I need to watch Arcane. I'm with you. I haven't gotten to it. It's just one of those, like, I missed the boat as far as the zeitgeist goes. But it's always going to be there, right? So I can watch it whenever I want. I just haven't quite got there. Let's see. Oh, that's true. Arcane is the argument for a good adaptation at last. That's a good point. Okay, yeah. No, I do need to watch it, if only for that reason. Um, okay, okay, all right. Let's keep going. The Blood Mirror, Burning White. And then there's the Larry Correa episodes. Oh boy, more of Kip's favorites. With the new Lord of the Rings ones, book 1, book 2, those were fun. Taken as a whole, I like those episodes a lot, but I don't think any of the individual episodes quite rise to, um, you know, all-timer status on the show, which was a little disappointing, if I'm being honest. That being my favorite book and all, I want to give it the treatment that I feel like it deserves. Oh, that's true. Hearing Ryan gush about Galaxy's Edge was fun. I think we had Mandy on that episode. She was my old boss. And we had her on because she's a massive Disney nerd. Might have been on a different Disney episode, but anyway. So yeah, what was I saying? Yeah, Lord of the Rings. I'm a little bit disappointed that none of those quite rise in my mind to favorite episode status, but I'm all right with it. Let's see. More Dresden, more Lord of the Rings. I like this concept that I kind of crystallized a couple years ago, 2 or 3 years ago. I don't know if the episode was that great, but I love the concept when it finally kind of clicked in my mind. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, the thing that crystallized was that if art is really great, it may have an age floor, but it has no age ceiling. So you're not going to hand, an 8-year-old The Godfather to watch or to read. But you could hand a 70-year-old a copy of The Giving Tree, that you read to toddlers and whatnot. Like, you could give anybody a copy of The Giving Tree and it has something to impart. They can pull something from that story. So there's no age ceiling on that, but there is an age floor where, like, The Godfather is great art, but it's not appropriate for a lot of reasons to give to somebody too young for it. Anyway, so I've always liked that idea. Dark Lord of Darkholm was so fun. But that would be more about the book. Veronica Roth she was a delight. With all these authors that we do Author Shelf with, we mostly talk to them on the episode, but you guys don't get to hear the, 5 minutes before, 5 minutes after, the kind of little discussions that we have. And she was just a lovely person. She's the author of the Divergent series. There it is. She was really nice. So that was a lot of fun. Oh, this is the one. Oh, nope, that was a different one. Sorry. Okay, where are we? We're getting pretty close. Exploring the Lord of the Rings, Wizard of Earthsea. This was fun because it changed. Like, I thought I hated this book, and then it turns out I love this book. It just goes to show what rereading at a different stage in life can do for you. But I think I'll skip that one for now. Worst dates, Wheel of Tangents. 5th season. That's got to go on there. 292, 5th season. One of the most difficult things that we do on this show is staying away from politics. It's, usually it's not that difficult, but oftentimes it is. And I know that people get frustrated with it, but I just really don't want the show to become about that. And the 5th season was one of those things where it's like, how are we going to talk about this book without, getting into, some social and political issues. And I really enjoyed how we handled that book. And I liked all of those episodes, even though I liked the second and third books a lot less. I liked all those episodes. But the 5th season was a great episode for that reason. It was also just one of the most mind-blowingly, excellently written books I've ever read. And so for that reason, it was fun. I thought we did the episode really well. I thought we handled the issues pretty well without like kind of straying from our core identity as a podcast. At least that was my impression of it. You guys can tell me if I'm wrong. Let's see. The Legendarium ladies talk Wheel of Time. That's funny. That was a fun episode. Rhythm of War doesn't quite get there for me. Oh, did I skip 300? What did we do on 300? Oh, that was just me and Ryan being masturbatory for an hour and 22 minutes, but it was fun. Okay. What should we do for 400? There's a question for you guys. For Sale. I love that book. There's John Carter of Mars. Was that the one? Yeah, I think that was the one somebody talked about earlier. This episode, it's only 15 minutes long, and these two were they were kind of experiments in kind of simultaneously. It was a solo episode where it was just me. But I simultaneously uploaded to YouTube and the podcast as I do now, but I was doing it like kind of experimentally and it was just me. This one has been forgotten. But this one, it's not like it's it doesn't have a ton of views on YouTube or anything, but it is, I think an interesting enough question that I still to this day, like it does get views and I get, comments on that still, even though it's been well over a year at this point. Like this one gets more comments than most of our YouTube stuff. Where are we at? There's Mort. Oh, that was fun. That was when Daniel Green came on. That was a fun episode. Perdane. Those are great, but not great enough. Where are we? Oh man, there are a few of you here now. Okay, actually, I'm going to pause here and make sure I don't miss any good stuff. Veronica Roth's author shelf changed my opinion about her. Oh, that's cool. So I assume that means for the better, because she was a delight on that episode. But I don't know for sure. Truth be told, I've never read the Divergent series, so I can't say that I'm familiar with Veronica Roth's work. Other than, like I read excerpts here and there and, whatever, glance through it, but I've never actually read it beginning to end. And that's okay. Like, I don't think Veronica Roth, of all people, is going to be crushed that I didn't read her book. But, it turns out authors are people too. They're not just their books, and she's a delightful person. So there you go. On the age floor thing, don't give a little kid Terra Ignata unless you want to have them asking a lot of questions about sex, gender, and car crashes. Was it just called Crash? What was that awful movie from like 20 years ago? I think it won the Oscar, and it was just terrible. But for some reason, when you said car crashes, that made me think of that. Yeah. Oh, good. I'm glad you liked the discussion in your top 10 episodes ever. That's cool. That's really good to hear. Good. I'm glad you guys enjoyed those. That's gratifying to me, honestly. Okay. Yes, for the better for Veronica Roth. There you go. Which Dresden is on the list? I joined late. I haven't put any Dresden Files episodes on the list just because I'm kind of counting on you guys to tell me if there's is there a Dresden Files episode, like one of our episodes? I'm not talking about the books, but is there a Dresden Files episode that truly deserves like a top 10 or top 20 in our catalog? I'm not really equipped to answer that. So I'm kind of counting on you guys. Let's see. So yeah, if you have any, let me know. But I know that I think with the Dresden Files stuff, so Changes, I know Changes is the book that a lot of people point to as a hinge point in the series. But was the episode that good? If it is, let me know. Yeah, Changes for sure. Agreed. Okay. All right. We'll put Changes on there. What number was that? I think that is that Dresden 10? 9 or 10, I want to say. Where are we at the... Battleground. That's Dresden. Oh my gosh, yeah, it's going to be way down here. Where are we? Changes, episode 2. Okay, so we'll put 283, changes, episode 1. 283, oops. 283, changes, part 1. We'll just call it part 1. Whatever. There we go. Okay. Was it 11? I thought it was number 10. Oh, it's number 12. Oh, okay. All right. Pretty sure I got that right when I labeled all those episodes. Okay. Where were we? We gotta scoot. Oh, it's been over an hour already, you guys. We haven't even ranked them yet. We're still just making the list. I get too bogged down in nostalgia. High King. And then there's the Silmarillion read-along. Did any of those jump out as like really, really good episodes? I'm not sure that they did. I think taken as a whole, I really like our Silmarillion read-along for what it is. I'm sure a lot of people would disagree who would like to get more into the minutia of Tolkien stuff. What was I saying? Oh yeah, but yeah, taken as a whole, I really like those, but I'm not sure if there's like a specific episode of those that really stands out as in the way that I would think. Heroes Die, so good. There's a part of me that wants to put Heroes Die on there, but I don't think I will. Rebecca, honestly, I really liked that. Alison Noel is another one where like I haven't read her work, and so I can't speak to that. But she was a fun guest, and it was such a good book. I went and watched the adaptation. There was an adaptation a couple of years ago with Lily James, I think it is, and the adaptation was okay. I hated the ending of it. The ending of the book is much, much better. But yeah, what a good book. What a good book. So, and, credit where credit is due. All these author shelf, you can see, Scott Lynch, Brian McClellan, Alison Noel, like all these author shelves and, interesting guests like Ed McDonald. Credit to Little Red Book, who booked all or most of these. So, like this one, Dreamcatcher. Oh, this was fun. It was my first Stephen King. Didn't love it, but I liked it quite a bit. But it's I don't have anything else to compare it to Stephen King wise. But structurally, it's a bit of a mess. It meanders a ton, and I gather that a lot of his books do that. But conceptually, it was really interesting and fun to read. I'm going to go, I feel like I want to put some of these like later episodes on there. And of all of them, I think Determinism with James Kennedy might be my favorite. I loved the Summit Basu conversation, but the Determinism one with James Kennedy, where he talks about 4 categories of determinism, gave me a lot to think about. So live important episode. An interesting choice for King. Yeah, where was that? That was down here just a little bit. So with the author shelf concept, the author shelf concept is not necessarily like, hey, pick the best book by your favorite author. It's, what's something that is influential to you? What's something that you have enjoyed in the past? What's something that's influential either to your career or just your life. And so this is the one that Ryan Van Loan picked. And even he, in the episode, he's like, look, this isn't Stephen King's best book. It's not. In fact, a lot of people really hate it. But I think he said he read it, I want to say it was back in college or something like late high school, college, somewhere in there. And it was, and I hope you've all had this experience. I know I've had it a few times where you read the right book at the right time in your life, when you're in the right mood, and everything lines up just perfectly. And so it just kind of like blows your mind somehow. And that's what he said Dreamcatcher did for him. And so now he's like, yeah, I write books now, and like I have a savvier eye. I recognize this is not his best book, but it was important to him because of that experience that he'd had with it. And so I appreciated that from him. Anyway, starting with King. Yeah, well, I'm a slave to my author shelf episodes. Determinism was fun. That's good. And that was my favorite too. Yeah, I think I'm going to put the determinism one on there. 361. 361. Oh, good. We did skip ahead quite a bit. Determinism in sci-fi fantasy with James Kennedy. There you go. Dystopian fiction. It was a lot of fun. Rings of Power, episodes 1 and 2. Dispossessed. This was a really interesting episode. Another excellent person, Mary Robinette Kowal. She was a delight, and a very fun person to talk to. Some of you have heard me say like there were some things about this episode, The Last Unicorn, where about the episode itself and the conversation that definitely had me cocking my eyebrow a couple times, but for the most part, it was a good discussion. I think this is about the end, isn't it? Yeah, there you go. Good House. I have to admit, I actually, with this episode that just came out on Monday, was not. I felt like I wasn't quite on my game for this episode with Rita Woods. It was just me and her for this author shelf thing with this horror novel, The Good House. By the way, if you haven't read the book, it's okay. You can still listen to most of the episode, or even all if you don't care that much. Yeah, it's an interesting book. I really quite enjoyed it, but we recorded that. The timing lined up where we had to do it on a Saturday morning. And she's a time zone or two ahead of me. And so I had to do it at like 8:00 in the morning on a Saturday. And so I think partly for that reason, I was not really on my game for that one. But I have heard from some people, they said they liked it. They thought it was a good episode. So I hope that's the case for most of you. Okay. Who's coming on for an author shelf episode? I'm not sure. That's a great question. I have the same question. Yes. Yeah, exactly. Sorry. Back to the determinism episode. Brought his own schema to the party. Absolutely. I can't remember if he said it in the episode. I think he did. Where he's like, yeah, I jotted this down 10 minutes before we started recording or 1 minute before we started recording. Which I just loved. Sometimes these things come to you, and sometimes they work out, sometimes they don't. And sometimes it's just genius, lightning strikes. And so I don't know how seriously he took it, but I loved his little determinism schema, and thought, even if it's not perfect, like it was a really, really good jumping off point for the conversation. That's why it was such a good episode. Okay. Yeah, Little Red, you got to tell us who's coming on for an author shelf episode. I must have mentioned somebody's name and I can't quite remember who. James Kennedy. That might be who she's talking about. We're trying to get. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, just before you said it, I figured out who you're talking about. Determinism. Oh yeah, the Dare to Know. That was the book that he was hawking at the time. Little Red, I haven't read it yet. It's on my shelf, and I want to get to it. Red says it's a really good book. So, all right, guys, we've got our lists. Let's see. We've got, cool, 20. We have exactly 20 episodes on here, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Very good. All right. So let's do it this way. Let's go. Let's see. What's the? You know what? I'm not sure if do we want to take the time. I feel like we could argue about this for a while, but I'm gonna go with Words of Radiance Part One might be our best episode ever. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty comfortable putting a 1 next to that one. I'm gonna put a number 2 next to Leaf by Niggle. I absolutely adored that discussion. Let's see, what else do we want to go with? I feel like we got to put a classic up pretty high. Put Well of Ascension at number 3. Yeah, I don't know if that's quite fair, but No Heroes Die. Yeah, I question that one because Heroes Die. The reason I was hesitating was because I couldn't decide if it was. It's a great episode, but I couldn't decide if I was putting it on the list because it's an amazing episode or because it's an amazing book. It's a truly amazing book. But so it would be a bit like The Lies of Locke Lamora, one of my all-time favorite fantasy books. But I don't know that our discussion or discussions of it were like up to the level of how good the book actually is, right? So, okay, where are we? Oh, you know what? Eye of the World can go number 3. That's fine. Oh no, sorry. That was meant to be, Oathbringer Part 3 was meant to be number 1. Those were like interesting episodes, but we got to put like in the top 5. There's got to be just a pure fun. This would go like a lot of our. Here, let me get rid of that. This can serve as a stand-in, the Craig's Everything trivia for a lot of like the Wheel of Tangents episodes where we just like, you know what. Screw intellectualism or trying to like actually book club something. Let's just screw around for an hour and make each other laugh. That's how those go. Truth with Sanderson, I think that would be a good one. 5th Season would be in there. Where do you guys want me to put Dresden Files? Changes. Let me know if that's like, is that a top 10 episode or are you cool with that being like in the top 20 somewhere? I don't think I'll put Determinism. Like that's a little recency bias. I want to let that one sit for a while, maybe re-listen to it once or twice before I decide if it's like a top 10er. Gotta have something classic in there. What are we on? Number 7. Top 10. Lady Sweden says top 10. Absolutely. I'll wait for somebody else to second the motion. Somebody's got to second the motion. But you got to do it quick. Okay. Where are we? Enter the Dungeons & Dragons. So much fun. It really was. Definitely in the top 10. Okay, what are we on? Number 8. All right. It has been seconded. All in favor, say 8. 8. How to wait for book 3. Let's put, I think, honestly, like, I've got The Truth already, but this episode, In Absence of Fear, laying the groundwork, that could, you know what? No, I'm gonna save that one. We'll put number 9 for Ainulin Dale. In Absence of Fear, I think I'll put that in the top 20 somewhere. A lot of the kind of like hinge point episodes, like The Horror or In Absence of Fear, I think will go in that top 20. Number 10 for changes. So I gave it number 8 on my list, but it's Dresden Files number 12, as I recall from our list. Okay, what are we on? Okay, we got to round out our top 10, and we're going to do that with I'm going to do it with Dungeons & Dragons. That really was a fun episode. All right, and now there's going to be a lot of these like hinge episodes. We'll put In Absence of Fear in there. The Star Wars Day special when Ken and Todd both came on for the first time. I think it was Todd's second time, but it was the first time we had both of them on an episode was for that one. And so I kind of talked about that at the beginning. Well of Ascension Part 2, that was the let's get to the punchin'. We haven't said that in a while. So let's see, number 13. I like that as 13. Oops. Words of Radiance Part 1. The entrance of Megan. Absolutely. How to Wait for Book 3. That is an important episode to me. So I don't know if I talked about this one much when we were compiling the list. The reason I put this one on here is just because it's, and I do stand by this now. We can talk more about the context now, but at the time, episode 190, that would have been a solid 3-4 years ago at least. Episode 190, How to Wait for Book 3, was where I simply was getting fed up with people going after Pat Rothfuss. It was driving me crazy. Let him put out the book or not, whatever. Just don't be a dick. Was kind of what it came down to. I was tired of people being jerks to him on the internet. And so this episode was really important for me, and it laid some groundwork for how we talked about that kind of issue on the show. We'd been laying that groundwork for a little while, but it just kind of it was a good reminder for us as a podcast, and hopefully for our audience as well, to have some charity toward your favorite authors. People like Rothfuss, like George Martin, like Scott Lynch, where you're waiting years and years for the next installment. Have a little charity. And I still absolutely hold by that. That being said, definitely in the last several months, there have been reasons for me to, be somewhat less charitably disposed toward Pat Rothfuss. But I don't know enough about it to litigate all of that right here. So I'm not going to. I still think that it's the best policy to just start with that as your baseline, your automatic. What am I trying to say? Your default position should be charity towards these authors until they give you more of a reason to be disappointed than just you're not writing fast enough for me. I don't feel like that's enough reason to be uncharitable. Let's see, where are we at? Assassin's Apprentice, definitely, yeah, that definitely deserves a spot in here. Sorry, everybody. Blood Mirror honestly probably should go higher. Let's see, we have Determinism, Horror, Well of Ascension. I'm going to go 18, 19, and 20. All right, so now I need... I know I can arrange this A to Z. Yeah, but then it's going to put all that at the bottom. Whatever. That's okay. Oh, I can freeze. There we go. Okay, view. Freeze one row. Good. And now I can sort A. There we go. All right. So there's our top 20. All right. I am an absolute genius with spreadsheets, you guys. I don't know if you knew that, but there's our top 20. I think this is fair. Oathbringer Part 3. If you never heard it, you should absolutely go listen to it. I think number 2 is absolutely fair. Obviously, that's my personal favorite episode. But I recognize that Oathbringer Part 3 is a lot of other people's favorite episode. So Eye of the World, straight fun, something with Sanderson. Yeah, that was really good. So there you go. You're better at Excel than me, and I'm a data analyst. I really doubt that's true, Todd. I'm going to guess that if you're a data analyst, you know what a pivot table is. And all I know is that a pivot table exists. What are you shaking your head at? So you wanted me to sort by value? I sorted by alphabetically. It's fine. There we go. Yeah, I didn't put the dates on there. Oh, well. I don't know what you want from me. What do you want from me? So, yeah, there's our top 20. I wish I could expand this again. I don't want to make myself that small, but oh well. See, there you go. Yeah. What is a pivot table? Alex? Yes, Alex Trebek. All right. I like it. This is a good list. Maybe I'll share this on Twitter or something and get some other, or like in Discord, I'll get some people's takes on this list, and see if anybody else has, some other nominations for their favorite episodes that we've ever done. Anyway, so yeah, thanks for playing along, everybody. Get out of here. Get out. No, you can't fix this because I did not. Little Red and I share, a Google Drive with some documents that we have to use. But this is not in that Google Drive. So you can't fix it and you won't fix it because it's perfect. So get out. All right. Thanks for playing along. It's fun, not only a fun walk down memory lane, but it's a good chance for me to kind of, think through some of the best stuff that we've done. If you have further thoughts after we're done with the live stream, go on Discord or throw a comment on this video once it's uploaded and let me know what you think of all of that. Anyway, so I'll see you guys next Friday. I'm thinking next Friday I'm going to... I might be done with Andor at that point. I just started it last night. I'm one episode into Andor, so I think there's a good chance I'll be done with it next week. I won't guarantee it, but I know we need to talk about Andor. We need to talk about House of the Dragon now that that's wrapped up. No spoilers. I still have like 1 or 2 episodes of House of the Dragon to watch. So we got those 2 we need to do. I also want to do. I have an idea for like a bracket challenge, but I kind of want to save that for a little bit later because it requires a lot of audience participation. These brackets, when we do the brackets, we're gonna need a lot of people. Right now we average. What have we been averaging today? Like 8 or 10, maybe people in watching at any one time. To do the bracket challenges with all the audience participation, we'd need, I'd say, at least 30. And so I think I would want to make it a little bit more of an event and give people more of a heads up so that they have a chance to tune in and participate. But anyway, so it would be just so that you know. Yeah, I love brackets. I love brackets too. They're really fun on these. There's like a fat joke about pandas in there somewhere. Am I putting my favorite patrons in the brackets? No, I was thinking of doing a bracket challenge where I ranked, if you remember a couple weeks ago, I ranked my favorites, like the series that we've done on the show, not individual books, but series. Kind of along those lines, I think I would do individual books, but I would try to get everybody's input before we ever start. I want to get everybody's input and narrow it down to like everybody's favorite 16 books that we've ever done on the show, and then have everybody do. So we do basically like a straw poll for every round. This book versus that book, and I'd seed them and everything, and they are a lot of fun. Maybe do the bracket one on a weekend day. That probably wouldn't be a bad idea. Just maybe for 1 week to switch it to maybe a Sunday. Maybe I don't know. Saturday, Sunday, tends to be kind of like a family day. People are doing family dinners and going to church and all that. But then Saturday is like friend day where, people are going out with their friends. But maybe if we do it like on a Saturday afternoon or something. The only problem with that, of course, is that this is the time that seems to work for most of the US and parts of Europe. And, I wanted to make this as accessible as possible to as many people as possible. So I know we would lose some, but that's true. I don't know what the context is. What did I say? Did I say something? Anyway, so yeah, that's my idea for the brackets. Favorite books or favorite episodes about books. Wait, what? Okay. Well, anyway. Yeah, I gotta go. My voice is starting to crack. I'm gonna go enjoy the rest of my Friday. I hope you do the same. I will see you guys all next week. All right. Have a good one.